Good evening, everyone. I feel like it's just a big reunion, even though I can't necessarily see you and it's just me over there. But I did get my little pop-up and it looks like we are well on our way to having a good turnout tonight. So welcome. If some of you have logged in, feel free to just say a quick hello into the comment section of the chat so I know that you are out there. But hi, it's Lindsay. It's so nice to see you all again. I hope that all is going well in your corners of the state or in the Northeast, and your students are, oh my gosh, they're going to be here before we know it, back for sophomore year. So it's just really good to see all of you again. They're coming in so many, very, very familiar names and a few faces to put to that if you were, on campus at any point in the last year for any of the events. So welcome back. I thought that what we would do, I was trying to figure out the best way to use our time. Oh, my mug, Robin. Yeah. So last summer, when we were all getting acquainted and navigating COVID, super fun. I could drink caffeine at night and still be able to go to bed. And now I can't. I don't know if I'm getting older, but if I have a cup of tea, even decaf at 8 o'clock at night, I will be up until midnight. And I am coming off day 2 of staff training, and I really, my goal is to hang out with you all for a little bit and then pretty much try to go to bed as soon as possible. So no mug for me tonight, but I do have a bottle of water. We are in survival mode over here, so just trying to stay hydrated and to kind of push along here. So no mug. And actually throughout the course of this summer for my class of 2025 parents, I would sneak ice cream in there sometimes in my presentation if I had a special guest on and I was able to pass off the duties for a little bit and monitor the chat. So welcome back. So again, I was thinking about what to do and how to kind of best use our time here. And so what I want to do is address a little bit about the first 6 to 8 weeks of the semester first, and to answer a bunch of the questions that were submitted ahead of time. So thank you to everybody who did that. So I'm going to do that first. And then if you want to stay on, if your student is participating in the opt-in program for Welcome Week, I figure we'll kind of wait and then not dismiss everybody else. I guess they could stay if they want to, but because it might not impact everybody who's logging on tonight to watch, I was going to save that to kind of the end. So hopefully that works out. It is just me tonight, so I will try my best to monitor the chat while we kind of go back and forth here a little bit, but there might be some things that I miss, and there were definitely some things I didn't have answers to necessarily, or might have to kind of default you to the offices with the experts in that particular question, but we can talk about that in a minute. So hopefully that's okay. And we'll go ahead and get started. So first up was a question submitted about the visitor policy or the guest policy on campus. And so I know there was an email that went out a couple weeks ago. Basically, if you are a residential student on campus, you are allowed to go into the residence halls, right? So that includes both your residence hall and then other residence halls on campus. But if you are an off-campus student, if you are a student who's commuting to TCNJ, if you are a parent or a guest or any of that nature, if your student is living on campus, they have a significant other who is not at TCNJ, they are not allowed into the residence halls, at least for right now. That was a safety policy that was put in place. I know that, it was a bit unpopular, and I will be totally honest with you, it was wildly unpopular with my staff today, because I had to break the news to them in training as we're gearing up now for Working Welcome Week. The orientation leaders are gearing up. They're not allowed in the residence halls either. So even my staff, as an extension of my office, are not allowed in. So it's just the, hands we've been dealt. I think that in a lot of scenarios, we could sit here and say, okay, well, we could choose to look at the negative and choose to focus on all of still the restrictions that are in place and all those pieces. But I'm just too tired. So I'm going to choose to kind of look forward, and we get to have a program in this year, and that's a really big positive, and my staff get to help in a more in-person way versus being entirely virtual last year, and that's just kind of what we're doing here. So that's the guest policy. If you come back and visit for like Parent and Family Day, I'm going to talk a little about that in a couple minutes. Same deal. And then I do know, and I can say this with tons of certainty, and I've already seen it in action over the course of the last couple of weeks, they're constantly going to evaluate and look at this, right? The mask policy is another perfect example. So right now we know that the Delta variant's having its heyday and wreaking some havoc, but they're going to be constantly reevaluating. And if the cases go back down and the numbers look good, then we don't have to do it. That would be great. So I know that these policies, things like the guest policy, the mask policy, some of these other ones are really viewed as temporary, and they will be flexible. And they're going to be constantly looking at guidance from the state as well as the CDC and some of those other pieces. So, unfortunately, again, one step forward, a couple big steps forward, everybody's going to be able to be back on campus. We're going to be able to have classes in person. But there's going to be some restrictions for the time being. And that's just kind of, I think, the way that all of us really are operating right now. So that was a little bit on the guest policy. Somebody asked about parking. I guess there was a parking question and you haven't gotten an email reply. I know that office is down staff. So I'm sorry it's taken you a while. I would say just be patient. If you want, you could try to maybe reach out again towards the end of this week. I believe it was a kind of a particular nuts and bolts type of parking question that was specific to that particular situation. But I have a couple of families who've reached out who've had parking related questions. So I know they just got back to me today with something that I had asked for. So hopefully you're in the queue to hear a response pretty soon. Somebody asked about gluten-free in the dining halls or during if they're opting in for the Welcome Week program. Yes, of course. Yeah. So our dining hall obviously has gluten-free, vegetarian and vegan options. I do believe, I don't remember exactly what the process is for kosher, but I know there's a process to set that up. We had a vacancy in our dietitian, our on-campus dietitian position, and that was filled a couple of weeks ago. So that would be if I don't have the email on me. I'll try to find that before I log off tonight. But there's like a generic TCNJ. I think it might be TCNJ RD, maybe at tcnj.edu. I don't know if that sounds right for registered dietitian, but we'll get you the email for that. But if you have any questions or concerns, if your student has any questions about kind of how to navigate the dining hall and has these restrictions or preferences or whatnot, just reach out to dining services and they'd be happy to help. And Karen, I'm so glad. Yeah. So your son's gluten-free, was able to find options. My staff's eating on campus this week as a part of training, and I have 1 or 2 gluten-free and a handful of vegetarian, and they were fine, so as we kind of move into the start of the semester, they've got, almost like identifications too on a lot of these like stations in the dining hall with like what's vegan and what's not and all the signs and things like that. So they should be in good shape, but certainly reach out to dining services if you have any particular questions, but they are already rocking and rolling in the gluten-free space. So that's correct. So campus town students and off-campus students are not allowed in the residence halls for right now. Yep. So that's correct. Okay. I had a question because a student said that their class was virtual. And my short answer to this is that it shouldn't be. All of our classes should be in person unless they were already set up to be blended. And the only program where that's the case is the MBA program that your girl just finished a couple weeks ago. So that was really exciting. But they should not be virtual. And if it is, or if there's some sort of discrepancy when you go into pause and you look at that, easiest, fastest way, just email the faculty member, right? But I was under the assumption that everybody across campus, that was not the plan, right? So we're in person and we're in capacity, and we're cooking from there from that in-person experience, which we know is really important, and that's a big reason for who we are. I had one student, so if you have a student who's not participating in the opt-in program, they come back on Sunday, but I had a student or a family member ask if they could come back on Monday the 30th instead. That's fine. So they can start to come back on Sunday. I don't remember what they told you time-wise, but it's typically Sunday morning, late morning or early afternoon. If you're a returning upper class student, which all of your students would be, I guess I should have prefaced that. So hopefully if you're sitting here, your student started last year. So you are a family member or a parent or a student who was new in fall 2020 semester or spring 2021 semester. Should have prefaced with that. I talked to all of my new students this year last night. So yeah, you can come back on Monday. That's no problem. Classes don't start until Tuesday. And sometimes I would assume that if people didn't have class on a Tuesday, they would just come back on Wednesday or whatnot. So you have some flexibility with there. You're not going to be missing anything if your student's obviously not participating in the opt-in program. All right, let me see what else is on my checklist here. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so somebody had a question about counseling services, and that led me to really want to spend a minute or two to talk about what we're kind of doing bigger picture for the students. So we know every year right? Don't take out the global pandemic portion of this. Every year, we know that the first 6 to 8 weeks are really critical, right? These are, the students, these are all of our new students. They are navigating a new space. They are likely living away from home for the first time, or if they're not, and they transferred into the college, they're coming from a previous institution, whether they, commuted or lived on campus, that, a bit different. And it's a lot, right? You're balancing the social aspect, you are balancing a different course load academic wise, time management, just a completely different style, right? Of going to school. You're in class less, you have to do more outside of class. So, and we know, and then there's obviously all of the situations that could potentially come up where they're, put in situations where they got to make some choices, right? So we know that the first 6 to 8 weeks is a really critical time. And we also know, and, with Welcome Week, I can't fit everything into that schedule. That schedule is already bursting at the seams. It is incredibly overwhelming to a lot of students. And it's like everybody wants a piece of the pie, but it's like they're not going to be retaining a lot, right? So Welcome Week is really just trying to get students comfortable and acclimated with the space. So whether or not your student chose to do the opt-in program for Welcome Week this year, we always do a lot of programming, workshops, and events the first 6 to 8 weeks of the semester for our new students, right? So they might do something during Welcome Week, but all of the offices that do get the kind of the golden light of, yes, you can do something during Welcome Week, are doing more programs the first 6 to 8 weeks anyway, because they know they're not going to be able to reach everybody, right? So what we did this year over the summer, and I was thinking about y'all in the sophomore cohort, because that's in a normal year. This is normal, right? We have basically a brand new class of students coming in, and we have a brand old new class of students coming in with your students. And in addition to the normal stuff, you've been balancing this pandemic, right? So your sophomores or your transfer students that have a semester or two under their belt, they academically, hopefully had a really good year and started to kind of get that experience down, right? It was in a virtual setting, but they have a little bit of footing with what college rigor and college coursework and the course load look like, and they've balanced that, which is great, But now most of them are going to be on campus, and there's still a huge transition there with the time management, with living with somebody else in a roommate, having a residential experience, and living in a residence hall with other students. They're not going to be able to roll out of bed at 7:59 for their 8 o'clock class. They're going to have to be like, oh, I got to get up and get out of here at like 7:45 to get across campus in time. So we know that even though they're a little bit more seasoned than my incoming first year students with regards to course load and in regards to academics, they're going to have challenges in the same way that the first year students do with being in this kind of more traditional environment for the first 6 to 8 weeks of the semester. So I will kudos and tip my hat off to pretty much everybody I know on campus, because they have some awesome events and programs lined up, and I can give you 1 or 2 highlights. But what I wanted to do over the summer, I was like, all right, what is everybody doing? And we're still waiting to hear back on that, right? So we've got a little bit of work to do in the beginning of the semester. But my thought was, okay, let's kind of benchmark, what is the Center for Success doing in terms of workshops and topics in those pieces? And what is getting covered in the residence halls in terms of that programming? What is, are the Dean of Students doing any workshops, right? What student involvement, huge one, right? So I kind of tried to get a baseline of what everybody was doing in the first 6 to 8 weeks. And then I said, okay, where are the gaps? Where can we plug in some topics, some sessions, some workshops or things that I think potentially, and I did default to the sophomores, although to be honest, it could really be all new student, anybody, whether it was a first year student coming in or a junior who's coming back, because you have to remember the juniors were only on campus for like a semester and a half before we shut down. So I was just trying to identify gaps. I have a few I'm really excited about collaborating, and it's more just partnering up. So I'll give you a couple of examples of things that are coming. And again, this has nothing to do with Welcome Week, right? So this is just programming for all students, regardless of whether your student did the opt-in or not. So first things first, big one, Thursday, September 1st is the Student Involvement Fair. And they're changing up that format this year. It's going to be on Lions Stadium, which I think is super fun. And it's going to be under the lights. It's a night event. And over all of our 230 plus recognized student organizations are going to have tables for your student to be able to mingle, to walk around. Your student may even be working one of the tables if they were, they got heavily involved in an organization last year. But this is a really huge opportunity typically for our new students, but even more so for our sophomores. And I say that because there are, even in a regular year, a chunk of students who are just like, head down. I'm going to focus on academics. I'm going to get this, get this college education started right. And they don't have either the desire or the capacity to really take on super involvement. But then they come, they finish out for year one and they're like, okay, I could be ready to maybe engage and connect with the campus a little bit more. So in addition to the first years who we always know come to this event, there are a decent number of sophomores on the regular who will pop over because now they're like, okay, or maybe they joined an organization or two last year in their first year and they were like, oh, maybe not, not what I thought it was going to be. They meet too much. They don't meet enough, whatever the case may be. So the involvement fair is going to be a really great opportunity for your student. And I would say even if they, so definitely if they haven't gotten involved yet, and with the virtual space, it just wasn't something they wanted to do. But even if they did, kind of get out there and see who else is around. There's always new organizations that are kind of popping up every year. We usually get a couple of new ones. So I really highlight that as a big event. I know the following, I don't know actually if it's the 3rd or the 10th, but we do an enormous Rec Fest, which is like a health and wellness and recreation focused kind of night, also usually on Lions Stadium. So more information will be coming about that. So those are some of the larger events, but then you have a lot of kind of smaller run of the mill ones. So I know that, although this is a little funny because it's hard to think in this frame, but I do believe that like our study abroad office usually does like a info fair and they'll have a table out in front of an alumni grove to talk about study abroad opportunities. I have no idea if that's even a thing this year, but again, in a normal year, that would be an example. Our Center for Student Success, we're going to partner with them to do something. I'm not sure what yet, but they are tremendous in some of those topics I was talking about earlier with things like the time management, taking notes in classes, again, how to balance everything together. The associate director over there, her and I are good friends, and we, collaborated over the summer and said, okay, what is there anything kind of specific for the sophomores that we could do, right? So we're kind of fleshing out an idea or two there. And then the other thing that I just was working on a couple weeks ago before things got a bit crazier with Welcome Week was teaming up with mental health services. So we're going to do 2 events. There's like a World Mental Health Day in the beginning of October. So we're going to do partnering an event with them just like the week prior to fall break. And then there is we're doing this. I'm really excited about this one. So like late September, we're going to do like a speed dating, but like speed friend dating, right? So again, your student is going to get here and kind of get started, but we recognize that even if they participate in the Welcome Week program, just like our first years, they might not find their people yet, right? I didn't find my people till my spring semester of sophomore year. And that was in a normal time without a pandemic, right? It just took me a little bit while. And, I'd make friends with a couple people, realize, my values didn't line up, not really people I wanted to spend time with. These people over here, maybe not so much. So it took me a little bit. And then I got involved in one organization and I found my whole people. I found my partner, my life partner, husband of my, father of my 2 kids. The girls that were the bridesmaids in my wedding and everybody in between, those were my people, but it took me a while to find them. And the thing I love about this opportunity with teaming up with mental health services is that it happens like 3 weeks after Welcome Week is over, which is great because we could have students who, just go through Welcome Week and they're like, nah, you could have a student who didn't opt in and they're still like first couple weeks, having a hard time making friends. So this is going to be a really fun event. So again, just giving you a couple of examples, we're going to flush out the details of what this looks like. I also am going to do the last thing I will say, and I haven't, we're totally doing it because I booked the rooms. We are going to do a weekly sophomore series. So some of these topics are going to be covered in there. But we're going to do it every Wednesday morning, I believe. I think we settled on 10:30 to 11:30. So more information as soon as I can get through Welcome Week and come up for air. You do not want to see my inbox right now. You will be able to, your student will get some information on what this sophomore series entails. But again, it's just connecting the dots, right? How can we fill the gaps or at least alert them to all of these amazing activities that we have and workshops and events that we're doing on campus? So you may ask, what's the easiest way for them to do that? If they are not following this week at TCNJ on Instagram, they need to do that right now. So let me put it in the comments. It's at the Instagram handle is just at this week at TCNJ. They should already be automatically signed up to receive the newsletters to their TCNJ email address every week if they were in there. But the Instagram, I find everybody on campus, all the student organizations, offices like mine, we're constantly promoting events through Instagram. But this week at TCNJ is basically, I used to do it for just the new students, and it was such a good idea that I handed it over. I passed the reins, and now all the students get it. It's just, hey, here's all the stuff that's going on campus. And I think from a parent perspective, one of the things I would recommend, and I told this the same way to my parents last night, is just to support your student, right? So kind of touch base like, hey, have you checked out what's going on at TCNJ this week? Nobody's going to push them and force them to go to events and go to workshops, right? So, and they're not going to be at home last year like they were last year for many of you. And obviously we still have a bunch who are commuting, but really just, support them and try to get them out there. But just know, and I think there's a really big takeaway, even if your student's not participating in Welcome Week, that the first 6 to 8 weeks, there's going to be plenty of activities that are out there for all students. And then obviously, as hopefully I have proven to you, I haven't forgot about them, that we'll continue to kind of do this weekly sophomore series, and get information to them and resources, right? And that's the thing I was telling the new families last night. Everybody's going to hit a bump in the road here, right? And your students have hit, they started off with a really big bump, right? That big COVID bump, but it's just a matter of, do they know where to go and how to ask for help when they hit that bump? And that's really kind of the takeaway and what I hope to accomplish in those first 6 to 8 weeks, so they feel empowered to do that when they hit the bump a bit. So all that to say, also to answer the original questions, that's what we've got going on. More to come. Your sophomores will hear from me after Welcome Week. And then obviously, again, the This Week at TCNJ is crucial. If they're not doing that already, I would highly recommend that they sign up. And then the counseling services. Yes, so our mental health services folks, and even our Dean of Students office, we're anticipating a lot of volume, right? Because in addition to just normal volume, which is very high at the start of the semester with the transition to college, we recognize that we're in a very different ballgame here in terms of transitioning back from being away for a global pandemic. So mental health services does a whole lot. They do workshops, they do group counseling, they do short-term one-on-one therapy and individual counseling. They're kind of more in that acute phase, but then obviously we'll refer out if a student is going to need some more long-term services that they can't provide on campus. They have some tremendous staff, clinicians and therapists on whatever certifications they have to get, which is a million of them. Really, really great team over there. And then again, to the point, they're doing advocacy efforts. I also know that I think they started this virtually last year. The plan was to start it in person, and then they pivoted, was that they were going to do like a Let's Talk. I think that's the series. And again, this will be information I'm sharing with the students if they haven't already, but the Let's Talk. And it's almost like just like a 10 to 15 minute drop-in session, right? So like, hey, like just a quick check-in. How's it going? Anything stressing you out big time right now? Can I help kind of connect you with this person, depending on what the answer to that question is? So it's almost just like a mini kind of touch base. And I know that a lot of other institutions were kind of heading this way to do that. And I just think it's awesome. So their student can look for more information there too, but that's just a really nice kind of 10 to 15 minute kind of touch base. And I think that's really great. But mental health services is ready to go. Our Dean of Students office and our care reports and the referrals and those types of pieces are ready to go. And they're going to be here in a couple of days. So it's go time. All right, let me scroll back. I think that was all of the submitted questions. There were one or two about housing, but honestly, that's you're going to have to defer to the housing folks, I think, on that. I had a good look at the guest policy, but I think that was it. Those were all the questions that were submitted. Let me just scroll back and see if I missed any from you all here. Let's see. Do sophomores get the new IDs or use the same one? So they get to use the same one. No new IDs. So if your student has their ID from last year, yep, just you're right, Mary Elena. Oh gosh, I don't think I said that right. I'm so sorry. So they'll get a new sticker if they're living in the residence hall. They get a sticker, and then if not, they have that, but they don't get issued a new card. And actually, fun fact, I don't have it on me. My bag's in the other room. I have my original ID from when I started at the college 10 years ago, and it has the old logo on it and everything. It's like vintage at this point, but I kept really good care of that and saved that. And plus I look 10 years younger, so it was a much better photo than I probably would take now. Answered the question about that. Eating in the dining halls in the inside areas if they have masks. Yeah, so they're not gonna, they're going to probably wear the mask into the dining hall and while they get their food, but they're going to need to take it off to eat. I haven't heard any changes or differences to kind of that piece, but they're going to be able to have to eat with others. And even last night in my staff training, we ordered pizza for dinner at the end of the night. Everybody had their masks on all day, and then they sat distanced apart and had their pizza. Campus Town is open to the public. Yeah, so if you come to visit your student, you're more than welcome to visit your student. Definitely, you'll just have to do that. If you go out to eat in Campus Town or walk around, it'll just have to be outside. It's really just the residence halls that are shut down and not allowing outside visitors to come in. Yep. So I'll talk a little bit more about the sophomore students in a minute. Again, if you joined a little bit late, I'm saving that to kind of the end so that the students and families that are not participating in the opt-in didn't have to listen to me start about that first. So I will answer those questions, talked a little bit about that. I think the last thing I wanted to mention, hopefully this is a good thing. So I had a meeting a couple weeks ago with my colleague, Susie, and she runs the parent family programs, and we're going to keep the caffeine chats going. I hope that's good news for all of you. But we're going to partner with the parent family programs, and we're going to run, I think it'll probably have to drop the OST because it'll just be regular, caffeine chats. But we're planning on doing 3 in the fall semester. And we're going to do, I think, the first 2 in September or early October again, just because of the fact that we know, are we doing 4? We're definitely doing 3. We might be doing 4. Again, just because we know that there's going to be, I could talk to you all for hours on all of this stuff. I'm not an expert. I'm a high-level generalist, but there's going to be different pain points, right? So I think, for example, a couple weeks into the semester, my colleague Tina is going to come on. Hopefully, I don't know if she committed to that yet. So if she's watching this later, Tina, sorry, I volunteered you. Because we know that like the first couple of weeks you have a roommate, you're living with that roommate, sometimes problems happen immediately and sometimes they happen a couple weeks into the semester. So, just kind of talking a little bit about the residential experience from the standpoint of, okay, now your student's on campus and they have lived now with somebody else for a few weeks. How's that working out, right? And just some reminders on some of those pieces. And then the mental health piece, right? So we know that students are going to hit a bump in the road, and sometimes that happens at the start of the semester, sometimes a couple weeks in, sometimes later. So we've kind of strategically said, okay, we picked 3 or 4 dates, and you will get that. So if you're signed up, which you should be, because as long as you're on the email listserv, we should have your email. If you're signed up for the quarterly newsletters, which come out of Susie's office, she will be sending one out. She always does one at the start of the semester. And that one will have the dates and the times for the chat. They're going to be Sunday nights at 8 o'clock, just like we've always been doing, but I don't remember which Sundays we chose. And hopefully you'll join us. The good news is that everybody can come. So it'll be open to any class year, regardless of where you sit, first year, sophomore, junior, senior. And, hopefully the information is helpful, and you'll get to continue to hang out with me for a little bit. So stay tuned. That'll be super fun. All right, let me go back. Lauren, thanks. Thanks for the enthusiasm. Appreciate that. Due to Labor Day, will students follow their Monday classes for Tuesday? Oh, are we doing that this year? Oh, I don't know. Normally, yes, but I feel like I was in a conversation or in a meeting a few weeks ago where they said that might not be the case. So I would just defer to pause. It's whatever it is in the student schedule, they're going to be able to do that. So I don't want to say 100% yes, because I know we've done it in the past, but I'm not sure this year with the academic calendar if that's going to be the case. Normally it is, but I wouldn't feel comfortable giving you a solid answer on that yet. Okie dokie. So I think I'm all caught up on those. And I will start very quickly because I did have a few people before I launch into Welcome Week for the opt-in folks. I did have a couple students reach out about the late RSVPs, and unfortunately, I can't take any more. I'm at capacity, so if your student didn't sign up already to participate, unfortunately, they're not going to be able to join in on the program. So I just wanted to kind of address that and say that I'm sorry. It's just kind of where I am in the process right now with a couple days before. So hopefully all of that information I just shared with you about the events and the programming and the workshops and the events, the things that we're doing in the first 6 to 8 weeks of this semester gave you a little bit of comfort that, Welcome Week's not the end all be all. To be honest with you, there's students who don't come at all, who are eligible, right? Because they're new students. And there's some students who come and they don't really do a lot because for whatever reason. And that's why it's not all of the eggs in one basket with Welcome Week. That's just not how we operate. So there you go. So at this point, I'm about halfway through. If your student is not participating in the opt-in program, feel free to hop off. You could stay if you want to, but this part of it is geared specifically towards the families and the students that are doing the opt-in. And if you pop off and I don't get to see you, good luck. And I hope that your student has a great fall semester. You can always send them to my office or have them pop in and say hello. If they need anything, I'm on the second center of the Broward Student Center, second floor of the Broward Student Center. So everybody I have left should be families and students that have chosen to do the opt-in, and we had a couple hundred, so it's a pretty large group that's coming. So let me kind of walk you through. So full disclosure, I am late on getting this schedule into the app. I'm working on it as we speak. The actual full Welcome Week schedule is not even up there yet, so the goal is tomorrow. So your student has not missed anything from me yet. All right, I know they signed up and they got everything, all their ducks in a row at the end of July. It's just been a little hectic trying to build this out and to get this into the app, but it will be available hopefully tomorrow, and they're going to be able to see it in two ways. The easiest way, the opt-in. Okay, so the opt-in was all of the students from last year received an email from me with a form that if they wanted to opt in and pay a fee, they could participate in some of the welcome, a couple of days of the Welcome Week activities. So again, if your student did that and is on the list, hey, feel free to hang, but if not, you can go ahead and you could stay here and listen to me, but it wouldn't be very helpful. Okay, so they're going to get the schedule for me hopefully tomorrow. It's first going to be available in the app. So the goal is I'm going to send them an email to everybody who RSVP'd that I have on my list to let them know that in the TCNJ Roar app, it's going to be popping up as an icon, like a tile that says, it'll say something to the effect of, Welcome Week, sophomore opt-in. And I will do this with an asterisk because I think over 90% of the students are sophomores, but I do have some students participating, a very few number who are technically transfer students from last year. So it's sophomore, but I wanted it to be, really inclusive. So there will be some upper class transfer students that are participating as well. It was open to anybody who was new, who started last year. So the schedule, the goal is in the app on Tuesday. I do a printed version just for like the community advisors to have on campus. And if your student wanted to print it out, I'm hoping that that'll be formatted and available on Wednesday. So it's coming. And then to take a step back a little bit. So the first year students and the new transfer students that are participating, they start on Thursday. They start on Thursday, August 26th, like 3 days away. And they have programs on Thursday. It starts really in the afternoon, but Thursday afternoon, evening, and Friday. All right. And then obviously into the rest of the weekend. Your students, the sophomores, start their programming on Saturday afternoon. So let me tell you a little bit and walk through how that's going to work. So you hopefully have been doing drop and go move in if they're living on campus. Oh, and this was also open. So we do have, I would say the majority are definitely living on campus and residential, but I do have a handful of sophomores that are participating that are commuting to campus. So we're going to start, the first event for them is at 2:30 on Saturday. And again, they're going to get an email with all of this. 2:30 on Saturday. So the students that did drop and go move in, were told that they could come back to campus anytime after 2 o'clock. I would encourage them to be right on the nose at 2 o'clock, right? Don't just, kind of push them out of the car and say, see you later and keep going, right? You roll it. Let's come to a non-rolling stop. We'll come to a full stop. But yeah, so there's not a lot going on. You're literally going to say, hey, love you. See you later. Go have fun. And then out you go. So they're going to get dropped off sometime after 2 o'clock. 2:30 in our main theater, Kendall Hall, is going to be what I'm calling their Welcome to Welcome Week kickoff meeting. So in that meeting, my staff, my orientation leaders who are working the program I'm going to be there too to say hello. And they're going to say hi. They're going to introduce themselves. We are going to walk your student through the entire schedule over the course of the Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. and walk through, at this point, because they don't have any mandatory activities, so they don't even need to cover that, but really just giving your student an opportunity to ask questions about it, to digest it, and to meet the students on my staff who are going to be around, just to kind of help support them, make sure that they're, making friends and making the most out of the experience. So that's happening at 2:30 to 3:30, Kendall Hall, which is our main theater, and all of the new students that opted in for the program, the sophomores and transfers that opted in for the program, are going to meet there. So that's kind of our kickoff. Totally not going to rule out a couple of icebreakers afterwards. You didn't hear that from me. So they're going to, kind of get into some groups, meet my staff, feel more comfortable with the schedule, and kind of see what they want to navigate. But they will have a couple days ahead of time to also look at that. The nice part about the app is that they can kind of pick and already pre-select which ones they want to go to, which is pretty neat, and kind of build their schedule for the next couple of days. So we're going to go over the schedule. They're going to meet with my staff. The next thing that they're doing, they have maybe one or two options, and I'll walk through a few things with you, but I am giving my staff the opportunity in that time frame for everybody to do tours, like mini tours of the actual academic buildings. And this is really helpful because they probably don't need a campus tour, at some point, or at least they've, can study maps and they know. But a lot of times our new students, they say, okay, well, I am a business student. I know where the business building is. I can read a map, but, where do I go to get to room 225 versus 108, right, in the business building? So we're going to do some mini tours of specific academic buildings for those students that want to do it. And I think the key takeaway from here is that there's going to be a lot on the schedule for the sophomores, but they get to pick and choose what they want to prioritize and where they want to spend their time, and those types of pieces. So that's kind of in the beginning. And then I know that there's one other event, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So the schedule kind of lays out, we have a huge picnic. Oh, let me actually backtrack for a second. So on the schedule, I would say that I took two approaches to here. First, we already have a lot of amazing programming. So a bulk of the events are events that any new student can go to. So the sophomore opt-in, but as well as the first year and the new transfer students, right? And what we did was that we added funds to increase, capacities, or to increase prizes, or to increase those pieces because we had more students that were participating. And I'll use silent disco as an example in a minute. So there's going to be a bulk of the activities that anybody can go to, free reign. They can go to whatever they want. But we also wanted to add in a series and a couple of events that were specifically for this cohort, right? Because part of what we want to do is, yes, you hopefully started to opt in to participate in Welcome Week because you wanted to build some more connections to the college in different ways. But we also wanted to make sure that the connections for them to interact as a class were really kind of there too. So there's a handful of events on the schedule that are only really for them to be able to participate in, right? And of course, at the kickoff meeting, they're going to get a wristband that's a different color than all the rest of the other students so that they can kind of identify and know, who's in their cohort a bit. And that'll get them into, certain events and things of that nature. So that's a little bit about the schedule overall. So you're going to have some sophomore only events and then a chunk that are going to be really open for all new students. So I'll give you an example. So after they kind of get here and get started, we're doing an enormous picnic. We always do this huge new student picnic every year on Saturday evening, afternoon, late afternoon, early evening. We have inflatables. And these are student organizations that are running these. So we have a bunch of inflatables. We have somebody doing tie-dye shirts. We do design a mat, so they'll kind of design a little welcome mat for your residence hall. And then what's the other one? Oh, lawn games, right? So we have a whole bunch of those types of activities going on. 2 years ago, organically, a huge volleyball tournament just started out of nowhere, and that kind of escalated quickly. I think it was my staff who instigated that. So they're going to go into Ike, grab lunch, and then head over to Quimby's Prairie for the picnic, and then the evening activities, right? So I'll give you an example of how we enhanced a program. So every year we always do silent disco, and I don't know, I'll refamiliarize you if you haven't seen it or you don't really know what it's about. I don't remember if I talked with this group about silent disco. But imagine a huge field or area, right? Ours is going to be on Green Hall lawn under trees and hopefully a little bit shady and a little bit cool. Everybody's wearing headphones. The headphones are different colors. We have 3 DJs that are set up, and they're all playing different, they each have their own station, and they're all playing different types of music. And the students can listen, they hand in their ID temporarily. They get, to rent the headphones. They put on the headphones, wireless headphones, and they can flick between channels however much they want. But this is an enormous dance party. There's hundreds of students that are going to be participating, and it's in the evening. So the lights and all that kind of cool stuff. But if you were walking down the main path of campus, you you wouldn't be able to hear them. You wouldn't have any idea what music was playing. It is a silent dance party to the average person who doesn't have headphones, right? So we do this every year. It is easily one of the fan favorite events for Welcome Week. So I normally order, whatever, 500, 750 headphones. So we went up to 1,000 this year. So kind of going back to, I get some questions from some parents about, the opt-in fee and what it went to. So that's a really good example, right? We're enhancing programs that were already there that are fan favorites so that your students, and we have more capacity to be able to accommodate as many students as possible. So Silent Disco is happening Saturday night. That will be really big. We're doing the musical theater folks always do like a karaoke night, which is really fun. And what else are we doing? Oh, that's a really big recreate your night night. So I think we'll do bubble soccer, and they were doing like a retro throwback games and some arts and crafts. I don't remember over there. So it's all on the schedule, but those pieces. And then we're hosting a midnight breakfast and we have these like pancake artists that are coming. So example of Saturday evening activities that your student can go to. Sunday, jam-packed, right? So Sunday we have a whole bunch of info sessions, student government, student involvement, fraternity and sorority life. Our leadership development program will do something. We have a intramural club sports fair. So if your student wanted to, didn't join a club sport, or has an interest in starting a new sport in intramurals or whatnot, they have an opportunity to check that out. What else do we have going on? Brunch. Sunday evening, outdoor movie. We have a hypnotist coming. And another example, so we are bringing a company that does an interactive trivia experience, I'll call it that, called Think Fast. So we added on an extra game, like an extra session that's only for the sophomores. So they'll have the opportunity to show up, and it would just be sophomores in that session. And then the later session could be for anybody, sophomores or first years that are coming in. So just to kind of give you an example, there was really some thought that was put into how can I kind of carve a space in this huge program that will allow them to continue to have opportunities to interact with one another. A couple of additional notes. And then we're doing I also took a look back and I was like, okay, well, what are they missing on Thursday and Friday that's like really good that we should try to like resurrect and bring back for like a 2.0 later in the Welcome Week program? So one of them is the bookstore bonanza. So they're going to have to go get their books at some point, but Sunday early afternoon, I think it's like a 12:30 to 2 situation. They can go to pick up their textbooks at the bookstore, but then they're going to be doing like cafe samples of drinks and snacks. They're going to have raffles for prizes. So a really kind of fun atmosphere for the bookstore bonanza, which normally takes place on Friday night, I think. It's all blurring together now. And then the one kind of cool, awesome, only for them total thing that I did, we added to the schedule this year, is going to be Monday late morning, like 10 a.m. to noon. And it's a company called Grit and Wit. And their tagline is when brains meet brawn, I think is the tagline for them. But essentially they'll set up, and it's an enormous kind of course that you work your way through. You do it in teams. Some people will show up with teams. Other times it's just random students that will show up and you'll get paired up together with them. And you have to compete challenges. And some of them are physical challenges and some of them are mental, like puzzle games and, kind of some mental challenges that don't have that physical element. All of them are created to be inclusive so that regardless of your ability, you're able to compete. And I have been dying to get them here for the last couple of years, but we never had a place. It was too much to bring them in the Welcome Week schedule. And I'm so excited because it is such a great opportunity in terms of getting to know people, working together on teams, and just another really great opportunity for the students to kind of come together. So that's going to be a big one, I think, for Monday morning. And then the sophomore class council, they are going to run a bites and bingo on Monday night. I don't even know if they know that yet, so I have to reach back out to them. But we do a bites and bingo the first night on Thursday night. It's always really fun, great prizes to give away. It used to be Wingo, but with, hashtag COVID, we're not going to do wings, and the food serving situation gets a little bit messy. So it'll be like bites and bingo, and we're doing it a little bit digitally. So hopefully that gives you an idea. Hopefully it gets your student excited about some of the opportunities that they're going to be able to have to participate. A lot of the programs, they don't need to RSVP for. Some of them you might need to show up early if you want a spot because there's capacities and it's impossible for me to know who wants to go to what. The schedule is set up as such that there's often kind of ongoing things going on. So it's just a matter of what opportunities your student wants to take advantage of. So I would say just to get there a bit early if it's something they definitely want to. We don't do any like signups like weeks or days ahead of time for any of the Welcome Week activities. So a little bit about that. Another point that I wanted to talk about was the pause lounge. So we have a pause lounge. It's on the schedule as PAWS, like Lions Pause, right? Because we're Lions, but it's really PAUSE, like do you need to take a breath? Do you need to take a pause? Because they're on an even condensed schedule, but Welcome Week is a lot. I'm sorry, if you can believe it, I've been talking for like 10 straight hours today. So we wanted a space a couple years ago. I was like, you know what? We're really kind of not real. We're doing a bit of a disservice to our introverts, right? Our students that are a little bit quieter. Maybe they want to be a little social, but they don't want to like dive into all of the big activities. So we have a host of events throughout the weekend, definitely on Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday that are focused on a little bit more quiet, a little bit more chill and laid back, a little bit more focused with that health and wellness perspective. So I will give you an example. So Sunday afternoon, we're doing a Positivity Rocks event in there. So if you're an arts and craftsy kind of person, you can come and paint a rock, paint like an inspirational message or leave a little note, and then you can take that rock, they're like flat stones, and you can leave it somewhere on campus for other students to find if they're having a particularly bad day. So I think that that's like a really neat kind of chill event. We'll have like adult coloring books you can plug in. We'll have a speaker with some music going. So it's just kind of a place for people who want to be social, but maybe don't want to be too social, or who have a focus on health and wellness. There's a lot of like arts and crafts types of events. Our Residence Hall Association's doing like make your own stress balls in there. So that's another really fun activity. And then what I'm going to do, and what I already did, but on Monday afternoon, we're doing, so throughout the course of the Pause Lounge, throughout the course of Welcome Week, we are hosting a series called Transition Stories. So what you want to think about this is like quick 3 to 5 minute stories from current upper class students, almost in like kind of a TED Talk style. They each have a topic that impacted, whether, let's say, for example, one of them is definitely homesickness, right? So you'd have one of, a student who came in 3 to 5 minutes, talked about their experience coming in and starting college at TCNJ, whether they participated in Welcome Week or not, and they had homesickness and how they dealt with it, right? And how they kind of, what resources on campus were helpful for them to use it to get through it. We're doing another one on, imposter syndrome and, academically, like if you are doubting, I don't deserve to be here, what am I doing? Like it's too hard, I shouldn't have gotten in. Or you're struggling academically and you want to reach out and that kind of story, right? So that we had a student who said that was an experience that they had. General information about anxiety of whatever with school academics or otherwise, making friends, right? If they have some concerns about again, case in point, I didn't meet my people until almost college was halfway over. So 5 an hour is what we're doing. We have students there it's an hour-long session, and they are going to be able to do like a mini Q&A afterwards. But the focus of these transition stories throughout the weekend in the Pause Lounge is to normalize what the students are feeling. Because so many times I think they're just, they are in a box thinking I'm the only person who's feeling this way, and it couldn't be any further from the truth. And I think talking about it and normalizing those feelings goes a long way for students feeling like they can ask for help, or that they can reach out to other people, right? Whether that's other students, my staff, or obviously our professional staff across campus. So we're doing one, I think there's one before your students get there. There is one definitely on Sunday that's general, but we are going to host a sophomore specific one on Monday. So I don't remember the time. I think it's 1:30 or 2 o'clock. So we're going to do a transition stories for just them and those who want to participate, right? I certainly don't expect all 300 to show up. And then afterwards, we're going to do like a meet and greet with the mental health services professional staff, as well as our peer educators. We have a lot of our offices across campus have peer education students. So current students that serve in these roles who do advocacy and support efforts for other students across campus. We're going to do like a little social meet and greet after that. that may or may not involve making your own flavored iced coffee. So again, whenever I can throw, food and goodies and gift cards and prizes and those types of things, I like to pepper those into. So that's just another example. The Pause Lounge events that are going to be in there are a really nice option for your student if that's the way they want to go with the program too. We are doing all of our a cappella groups are doing a session, like a performance kind of based thing on Monday night too. The Monday night activities, Monday in general during the day is a little bit lighter. We have a couple of those larger events, but we do always do a couple of activities on Monday evening, and then they start classes on Tuesday. So that's kind of a big picture overview of the program. Again, much more in the schedule to come for your students. I want to address meals really quickly. So the residential students, we will obviously be covering dinner. The new student picnic is the big one there. It's like a barbecue menu, and then their meal plans actually go into effect with brunch this year. So they will transition over and start swipes in the dining hall. If your student is a commuter and they are participating in the program, and this is true for all of the commuters, regardless of whether sophomore opt-in or not, they're going to get a different colored wristband, and then we will cover their meals through Monday dinner. So that will be their way if they want to stay on campus, if they want to connect with students and hang out a bit longer, or if they want to get here early for brunch or whatnot, they will have an opportunity to do that. They'll just have a different colored wristband because we're keeping tallies and those types of things. So meals, hopefully that covered everybody. We are doing dinner on Saturday, and that's it. So I would encourage your student before they come back to campus to make sure they have a pretty big breakfast or a lunch, because they'll probably be eating sometime between 5 and 7, normal dinner time, I think, for that. What else was I supposed to tell you? Let me go back now and see if there was anybody who had questions here. Let's see. What time can we move in on Saturdays orientation? So Saturday move in. Karen, I would reach out to housing. I didn't think that Saturday move in was an option, but that was a long time ago before I had updated information on that. So I would reach out to housing with the question about that piece. So I apologize, I don't have that answer for you. And if you chose Saturday move in, you should have a time slot if that is the case, but I think housing would be able to clear that up. Luann, will activities fill up like last spring? Are signing up for events? So I did address that. So we don't do a big, we don't do a full kind of sign up for all the events. There's a couple I would just recommend for the few that you might be interested, really excited about, just to get there a bit early. I mean, I cannot promise you, I can't promise anybody that every single student who wants to go to every single thing is going to be able to do that. But I would just say to kind of have your students strategize and prioritize that piece. You have to remember with winter orientation too, gosh, when I think about winter orientation, that the capacities were so restricted for that program. It was all indoors because it was winter. I think I was limited to less than 10 students to sign up for each one. That was, we really tried our best there, but we typically, again, we're not going to make everybody happy, but typically most students are able to participate in the activities that they want to during Welcome Week. So I would just prioritize, if you definitely know you want to do one, just get in line a bit early and make sure you're good to go there. I do know that there's some capacities for Think Fast. So that might be another one that if you're interested in, just to make sure you get there a little bit early. But again, there's 2 shows. So the odds are they'll be able to get in. Sorry if I missed that, blah, blah, blah. If the students don't know others to go over with at 2:30, are the CAs going to group floor mates and go over together? No, I don't think so. So I briefed the upper class community advisors, so the ones that work in the sophomore level housing or the upper class level housing for juniors and seniors. I went over this entire schedule with them today, and I told them that, so they're very well aware the sophomores are coming back. We have new students that are starting and participating in their kind of 3 days of Welcome Week, and to really encourage them. I said this out loud. I was like, if it's 2:40 and you have a sophomore on your floor and they are either don't know where they're going or they don't want to go, and they got the gold band, get them out and make sure they go to Kendall. So it will be your student's responsibility to get to that first meeting, right? It's also a really good life lesson because you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. I'm not a big coddler. I don't, we support students and we're kind of helping them kind of navigate where to go and how to get to places. But at the end of the day, your student opted in for this program. We want them to take full advantage and full ownership of the process. So the CAs are aware. They can certainly help your student figure out where to go, right? Because that could be more of a challenge. But we're not going to do any escorting. And because the sophomores are spread out all over the place. That's I don't have enough staff, and we don't have even enough community advisors to be able to tackle doing that piece. So they will have that information on where to go. Again, it's Kendall Hall, but that will be in the app. Convocation on Monday. Ooh, Carol, Convocation is new first-year students only. There is an enormous day happening on Monday, the 30th. It is our academic welcome day. Your students did it last year. They did it virtually. Fun fact, that was also the morning that Zoom went down across the entire Northeast region. So that was pretty much my worst nightmare coming to life, because your student did Convocation with the president, which is, a really formal event that we host. They did a dean's welcome with their academic school. They did a department welcome. They did their summer reading assignments. I don't know if they did, it might have been the day before, but they did a liberal learning overview and a curriculum. So all of these mandatory events are only for our first year students, and your student did them last year virtually, but they do not participate in any of those. That is a mandatory day for them. They're over here. That's why we have Grit and Wit, and we have these other activities that are happening for the sophomores. So they'll be on campus. People will be running around like chickens with their heads cut off, but it won't be the sophomores, which is good news. If your student didn't opt in, are there any general beginning of the year orientation activities on Sunday and Monday? So Christine, unfortunately, no. The upper class students come back on Sunday during the day. I will say that the free movie, not the free movie, but the outdoor movie that we show 2 movies on Sunday night, those are actually technically open for all students. So if you wanted to go to see one of the movies, and I am dating myself, I have no idea what these movies are about, the 2 that they picked. And I always defer to the student programming board to say, hey, you want to recommend 2? And the 2 that they picked are over my head. My staff was very excited about it today when I told them though, so hopefully that was a good sign. So nothing formal. They could potentially go to that, but everything else is built into the Welcome Week program. Typically, the upper class students are just kind of hanging out, getting reacclimated, getting their room set up, going to the bookstore to pick up their books. It's like one of their busiest days of the year, and kind of just getting situated and adjusted. Obviously, I don't think any of the student organizations are having meetings yet, but there'll be those kind of pieces happening on Monday. But it's a little bit more of a laid back day for them. Yep. When will students meet their CAs? So it depends. I know that they'll be floating around. I don't think they have as much to do on Saturday, but I also know that they have, they've been in training for 2 weeks. They have to work regular student move in on Sunday a bit. So I don't know how much they'll be around. Typically with the upper class CAs, they will do kind of like I don't even know if it's mandatory, but they do some type of touch base. It's just typically not obviously during Welcome Week. It's typically within that first to second week of the semester. They'll have an entire floor meeting, really introduce themselves, those pieces. I know that all of the CAs are also in the process of setting up the group meets for the floors. So your student will, and that was a good reminder. So the community advisors, the CAs, will have a group meet for the entire floor just to be able to disseminate information, updates, those types of things. And then they plan, I think it's anywhere like 2 to 3 events a semester, right? And they do a lot, obviously much more on the management side in terms of helping with roommate conflicts and mental health concerns and all those pieces. So they got a lot on their plates for being part-time. So there won't be, so it depends. So the long answer is that it depends. I will say the reason that kickoff meeting at 2:30 on Saturday is so important for your student to go to is that we are going to do a group meet for this group. So very similar to what we do with the commuter students for regular Welcome Week, my first year commuter students, they do a big kickoff on Thursday night as well, and we get them into the group meet. This is going to be really important because then that way they can all connect with each other. It's not like they're going to swap, phone numbers with 300 other students, but there's group meet, this Welcome Week, sophomore group meet, whatever they decide to call it, is going to be really helpful for them because they'll be able to say, hey, I'm on camp, especially for the commuters, but for anybody like, hey, who's going to brunch right now? Like, I'm hungry, or, I was thinking about going to the student government info session. Does anybody want to come with me? Right. So they'll have an opportunity to kind of meet up. So that group meet will be situated and started, and we'll make sure everybody gets into it at that kickoff meeting. So that'll be really important to stay connected throughout the course of the program too. So these sophomores are going to kind of have 2 group meets. They're going to have like a temporary group meet for the Welcome Week opt-in program, but then they're going to naturally be in the group meet for whatever residence hall or floor that they're living on for the academic year. Hopefully that answered, Linda, your question about the CAs. Just to clarify, meal plans start on Sunday morning. Yes, with brunch. Aside from dining hall, will other eateries be available on Sunday and Monday? Great question. I personally have been waiting to see when the library cafe will open up for regular hours. Let me see if I can really quickly find, if I remember what the address is for dining. Oh my gosh, yes, first try. I get a bonus point. Let me scroll back to you all. This is the dining services website. So all of the hours of operation for all of those auxiliary places across campus, the education cafe, the library cafe, the STEM building cafe, C-store, the convenience store, and some of the others, all of the hours should be listed on that website. So hopefully that helped out. So the sophomores will get the welcome week activity schedule, Roar app and via email, or both, Diane. Roar app will be first. I'll send them an email once it's in the app. And then we have like a printed version that will just as a PDF that they can print off before they come to campus on Saturday, if that's more helpful in a visual format. It's a lot on the page. It takes me a little bit to get cute there. So the fastest will be in the Roar app, and I'm shooting for tomorrow to get that done. I'm waiting actually on an email from my tech support person with the app, because she was helping me with a glitch with uploading all of the events into the platform. So hoping for tomorrow. Okay, I think I'm caught up on questions. I have exactly 1 minute left. So feel free to put in there, is there anything else that I am missing? Are you generally thumbs up, thumbs down, feeling excited about it? I hope your student is. There was a lot of thought that went into it, but really the goal is at the end of the day that we're giving them a really cool opportunity to just kind of have that experience that they potentially, that they didn't. They had a digital version of it, virtual version of it last year, but they have an opportunity just to connect with some new students and some other sophomores, and to get the second year off on a good note. So I hope that we are able to accomplish that. Is the campus diner open this year? I'm assuming that you mean the dining hall, but yes, and they better be, because they were open today because my staff went there. So yeah. Yep, that's the atrium at ICOF. Yep, that would be open. So, okay, well, I will hang tight. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. It was so nice to see you all again. So many familiar, faces, so many familiar names. But again, keep on the lookout for the newsletter for the parent and family programs. We're going to be hosting a couple more in the fall. Hopefully I'll get to meet some of you here at some point if I haven't gotten a chance to already. But I just want to say thank you again for joining. It was really nice to see you, and really best of luck to your student. I think that, again, I'll kind of end on where I started. I mean, I hope that you're so proud of them, because what an accomplishment to just go through the last year and a half, and to it was with significant challenges and disappointments, and to be able to give them an experience, and to have them start off here in a little bit more of a normal sense of normalcy. I'm really proud of them. And I'm really proud of you. You did it. And I know that we still have some bumps in the road and some ups and downs here, but we're going to navigate them together. And I genuinely and sincerely appreciate all of your support, throughout the last 18 months. You will hold a special place in my heart. And you know what I was thinking? I think I'm going to cave. I got to find a class of 2024 mug, because I think that would just be the penultimate kind of summation of all of our special bond here that we have for this group. So I hope that you're proud, and the support you've given your student. They may not say thank you. I'll say thank you for them, because I have little ones who sometimes I need to hear that too. But you've been tremendous, and now let's get them here, and let's rock and roll. Let's get them started. I'm so excited to have everybody back, and especially them. And again, as always, if there's anything that my office can do to support, please let me know. Again, it'll take me a little bit to dig out of the inbox from Welcome Week, but we'll get back to you in September sometime. But otherwise, I'll stick around for just another minute or two if you do have any questions. But have a lovely evening, and really appreciate your time, and take care, and we'll see you soon.